Hello and welcome everybody to the latest edition of Midweek Matters. I'm your host, James Graham, joined by I'm Easy, I'll go wherever you want to go, Charlie White.
That's right, Jimmy. Good to be here. Good to see your face as always.
Yeah, likewise, Charlie. You claim to be this easygoing, laid-back character. You made us walk 2 blocks to your favourite sandwich shop because downstairs wasn't good enough, and then...
That's not true. Downstairs stuffed my wraps up a couple of times. Their coffee's fantastic. But also you were the one who suggested South Dowling. I was easy. I would have gone downstairs and happily ate there. And then you're like, oh, should we go to Cafe Cross the Road? I was like, yeah, for sure. Happy to do that.
Well, you're a bit pedantic. You like you're very specific.
Mate, you are the man.
I wanted to go back to like the grounds and get all the hashtags and be part of the trendy people. But you're that's, to quote you, it's beneath you now.
You know that's not true. Again, you're just lying today.
That is a lie because you're all about being on trend, on point.
I'll tell the truth now. So on a Sunday, we work together at Triple M. And we do.
Well, hang on. Can I just interject that?
Yeah.
When you say we work together, you happen to be in the building.
Okay. Yeah. We work together on the same show. That obviously you don't respect the behind the scenes staff. That's fine. But Dan on the panel is fantastic. He's great. Daniel Pettigrew.
Dave is great as well.
Dave Thomas, absolute legend. Justin Donnelly on the socials, great
JD,
man.
great. Starting to ponder about what you actually do. Anyway,
continue. No one cares too much about that. My point is, on a Sunday, we do a food order as a group.
Yeah.
You know, it's me, you, James Super, Gordon Tallis, Ben Dobbin. What do you guys want? Oh, we'll get this. Everyone agrees on something. And then you can never have what everyone else wants. You always have to have your own food order. So the only person that is difficult with food that I know is James Graham.
I'm specific.
No, difficult. Even with the coffee. So I think I've told this story before on the show, so it's probably boring people. But you get an almond flat white. Everyone knows that.
I mix it up. I don't. You've literally just been with me, and I got a regular milk flat white.
Yeah, it's rare. I actually noticed it. I thought it was rare. But you normally get an almond flat white. So James is so specific that when we go get the food and coffees, he's like, make sure you get my coffee last, and because it needs to be warm when it gets back, but don't get extra hot because that ruins the enzymes.
Yeah, it does.
To quote James Graham, it ruins the enzymes.
All factually correct.
Are enzymes even in almond milk?
There's a reason you don't boil milk or
it's almond milk. Yeah, it's not milk.
It burns. Anyway, I'm specific about the coffee because I think life is about quality and about experience.
You're racing through life. You need to slow down, and you need to not necessarily have the perfect coffee.
I know, but maybe you could argue being a perfectionist, but if you're willing to settle for second best and settle for a mundane lack of quality coffee when there are better options in the vicinity and all it requires is maybe a 20-meter walk, I think that's where you take that and go, you know what? I'm going to go here for my sandwich and I'm going to go here for my coffee.
If you're about perfection, why then does your hair look like you've just gotten out of bed, and why do you wear pajama shorts everywhere you go?
Why does my hair look like I've just got out of bed? A, it doesn't, and B is...
But you're wearing pajama shorts.
These are not pajamas.
They're the kind of shorts you'd see like a little kid. He's just got out of the bath and he's had his dinner and he's sitting around on the couch and he's in like little pajama shorts.
These are like little trendy sort of like...
I wouldn't call them trendy.
No, maybe not.
It's also like 10 degrees in the studio and you're wearing shorts and a t-shirt, which is bizarre.
Well,
it's bizarre.
Sometimes it's be comfortable in the uncomfortable, Charlie.
But no. You just said you like perfection, so you don't like being uncomfortable. So you're not comfortable in the uncomfortable.
No, I'm comfortable now. I've got a strong mindset to push through it.
But you can't push through. You can't push through having Thai food when we all want Thai food. But you need a chicken salad, Sam.
Mate, you know what? I reckon there's certain rules and categories for where food fits. Like for example, you have there's breakfast food, right?
Yeah, eggs.
Yeah, there's some things that are like reserved for breakfast. Now, I'm the same with lunch and dinner. I don't think you can be having Thai food for lunch.
Well, it depends what you get from it. We're not asking you to have a chicken cashew nut stir fry with like spring rolls and chicken satay skewers. You get a Thai beef salad if you want, mate. Can you not have that for lunch?
So I'd rather go to the place where salad is their speciality, or Thai food. That's your noodles, your curries, your rice-based dishes.
Bit racist that you don't think Thai people can cook a good salad.
No, I think there's they've got their peak. They've got their there's things I go to Thai restaurants for, and that's in that category. I don't go Thai for a salad. No way. You're just a salmon shop for a salad, ironically, or a deli.
It's funny. I've just been distracted by my phone because we're going to talk about Aaron Woods lighting up Origin 2, and he's just rang me. Should I just try call him? Should I call him? Yeah, he's just rang Tony. Well, let's call him. I'll say we're on, and let's see what he has to say because he's lit the fuse for Origin. That's his voicemail.
It's his voicemail.
I'll get him to call me back at some point.
So unfortunate. Maybe he was coming to call in and agree that you've got certain categories for food. But you know what? It's funny we mentioned this because last week I had a little bit of a say on sushi. How basically it's a bit of a con, and there's someone in Japan pissing themselves if it was Somalian raw fish wrapped in rice and seaweed. People would go, ugh, but it's trendy because it's Japanese. I was nearly going to buy some sushi the other day. Literally, this time last week, I went to the gym and I was looking for something to like smash and grab. I didn't because of what I just said. Not because I can't. I don't think you can. I want to just clarify my comments. I think you can have sushi, but you just don't need to rave about it like it's life changing. That's what really.
I don't know anyone who does rave about sushi that's life changing. I think it's just the same as having a wrap for lunch.
One of the comments in the YouTube was saying, "I've just seen James Graham come out of a fancy German deli. One thing's for sure, it is not fancy." Again, I was deliberating whether to get sushi. It was at a food court at Westfields in Miranda. And I've gone and got a sandwich, a pre-made sandwich, because it was quick, it was on the go, it was ready. The talk of fancy German deli is just preposterous.
I know that you do like going to certain fancy delis though, and things of that nature.
Yeah.
I've seen you go. I've actually picked you up a few times from this place near Central, which is a very fancy, trendy cafe that you like to go to.
Oh, no, I think things are worth it. Look, you know what? The Sydney Morning Herald, the good food guide.
You're a good food guide, man.
I was the other day, I was reading it and go, oh, I know where that bakery is or that cafe. And I was like, there's actually a couple around here that I'm looking to check out. There's some good quality cafes. That
could be in your TikTok series, Jimmy's Eats. And you go around different cafes, give them the review, do the ambiance, do it all.
But the fact that it goes on TikTok is pretty against what
Well, it's just a modern version of the Good Food Diary, basically.
Yeah, but who cares what I've got to say about food? That's not my...
Who cares about anyone? What makes a food critic? What makes a food expert?
Okay, well, but rugby league, people go, oh, he's played the game, he understands it, he's in and around the scene, he's got a point. Where if I'm talking about food and coffee, I mean, you know?
I think whatever makes a food critic, Dave Portnoy does pizza reviews for Barstool Sports. He's not necessarily an expert in cooking. He's just a big character. So you can do the same.
Answer let us know in the comments if you want me to go and review a cafe.
Okay. And you know what? That reminded me though, because we're going to do this new segment every week where it's like answer the best DM, comment, email, because we've been getting a lot of messages lately and we haven't had sort of a spot to answer, but we got a couple of emails this week. So basically, you can comment on Spotify if you're listening on Spotify, comment on YouTube if you're watching there, or you can send us an email, thebuyround@gmail.com. If you've got a question, we're going to do basically top of show every Thursday episode. We're going to answer the best email we've got. And we've got two this week that I think are worth doing.
Okay.
The first one's from Thomas Sargent. He says, love the show, guys. I would really like you to address this topic in an upcoming podcast. Following Monday's win over the Eels, I could not help but notice Reid Mahoney dejected in the sheds. Sitting alone, it seemed being consoled by a couple of people. Of course, we all saw Reid come off the field when Galvin entered the game and Sexton go to dummy half. What do you think the future holds for Reid at the Dogs? Is he on the outer with Ciro? Will Reid make way for a changed structure at the Doggies that includes Galvin and possibly means that Sexton could be retained? Cheers, Tom Sargent.
Excellent observation and analysis. However, I would say that this is not the first time Reid Mahoney has been taken off in a game to make some structural changes to the Bulldogs formation.
There was some mail at the start of the year that Bailey Hayward, Cameron Serrata was considering putting Bailey Hayward at hooker.
Look, I don't know if that is true or not, but I think what we've seen over the past number of weeks is the fact that they've got that different idea in attack where they may change things up, whether it be in the halves or in that hooking role. And unfortunately, there has to be a four guy. We've obviously, with Lockie Galvin coming into the football club, that increases competition, especially in those spine areas. I think Reid does have a future at the football club, but just like everybody, they have to earn it. And all Reid Mahoney can do. Look, it's a strange one. You win the game, but he did appear to be a little bit dejected.
Yeah. Well, for him, the writing is on the wall a little bit.
But also, it's not the first time he's had this happen to him this season.
Yeah.
But it's against his old team. It was obviously a magnificent performance from both teams, and then he was taken off for the last 25 when things got a bit better, and there's this huge celebration, and you're feeling like you're on the outer. If he's feeling that, then it's only natural to be that way. You'd probably like a little bit more how the team won, but I understand that personal performances do affect how people behave after a game, whether or not the team has won or not. Yes, you're happy that the team has won, but you're looking and going, maybe that realization that the club is going in a different direction, or that I am that person to make way.
And there's more context around this as well, because Reid Mahoney, he spoke about it openly. He was on a podcast, Josh Mansaw's new podcast the other day, and he basically said there were reports about him being told he can look elsewhere for a club. That's not true. He went to the club and basically said, "Hey, what are you guys thinking?" He's obviously a November 1 guy, and they said at this point they've got no offer to him, and that's what Gus Gould said. And it doesn't mean they don't want him; it's just the way things are looking at the moment. They don't know if they need him or not.
Well, I just look. There are certain players that you take care of business before they get to November the 1st. And the reality of it is Reid's not in that category of player. He's not.
Yeah.
He's a really good footballer.
Do you think some clubs who need a hooker, though, would consider that with him? Or do you think he's more a halfway through the year, see how he's going in 2026, and then clubs come to the table?
Well, it depends what that football club require. So some teams would look and go, we really need a dummy half. The Cowboys, for instance, they're going to lose Reece Robson.
Yeah.
So they're one that are on the lookout for a dummy half. What's more, the priority for them would be 2026. Reid's available in 2027.
Do you reckon, though? I reckon if you offer, I reckon you can get Reid out of the Dogs for 26, realistically.
Maybe, but I imagine the Dogs would want to keep him.
Yeah. And Sexton's the other one there, though. Like, I'd love to see the Dragons have a crack at getting Toby Sexton.
Honestly, Toby Sexton's best game was on Monday for the Dogs. Probably in his Dogs, I thought he was all class. Like, he was very heavily involved. I really liked his attitude and approach to his football. And look, that is all you can control. Players are going to come into the football club. The roster is going to change. Young players are going to be on the up. Like, it happens to everybody. It'll happen to Lockie Galvin in the future, where he'll get pushed out the door or he'll feel that pressure. But the thing that you can control is how you prepare and how you perform. You can't control, your performances take over that control about what way the club going. I feel a bit for Reid Mahoney, because he came to that football club as well when they were on a poor run and they needed some key signings and some key players to make a difference. And he would have been sold a vision of where the club are going to go. So he comes into that football club when they were pretty poor. You could argue he took a chance on them rather than the other way around, which happens sometimes where a club will take a chance on a player. Reid probably assessed that situation. He was at Parramatta at the time. They were flying. The Bulldogs come to him and sell the vision of the football club and say, hey, look, this is where we're going to go. Come on this journey with us. injects himself into the team. He's made captain, then he's not made captain. He's towed the line on a number of occasions. The club have supported him through that. He seems as though he's dialed it back, but then maybe he's not having the same level of impact. But now the club are, coming first in the competition. And if he's feeling this way about being potentially not in the team or not in the plans, he's probably looking at it going, well, geez, I was there from not day one, but I was part of the solution. And I get that and I understand that, but the only thing in Reid's control is how he prepares, how he acts, what his behaviours are, and his level of performance. And look, I've got no doubt that Reid Mahoney belongs in the NRL. Yeah. Whether it's at the Bulldogs or another football club, he will not struggle to make a team.
He was close to getting picked for Origin as well.
Yeah.
I think they were considering having him as 14 to give Grant a bit of a break at hooker at times as well.
And that would make sense.
Yeah. So that's basically the new segment. If you want to send us an email anytime, thebuyround@gmail.com. You can comment on Spotify. We read every one of those comments. You can comment on YouTube. We read them all. You can DM us on Instagram. You can DM us on TikTok.
Did you say there was another question as well?
There is one more, which I'm from Ben Duffy. It's an email. Are you happy to answer this one, Jimmy? He says, "Hi guys, massive fan of the show. I see Jammer always talking about his beloved doggies, but who does he prefer? The doggies or the mighty St. Helens?" Can I say one more thing, Jimmy?
Go on.
He says here, as a Saints fan, there's only one answer.
Yeah, of course. It's not even up for debate.
Oh, really?
St. Helens.
St. Helens. Straight sets.
I sat on the wall as an 8-year-old. My love of rugby league has a lot to do with watching St. Helens as a youngster. I went to Wembley in 1996 and watched them have the most remarkable comeback against the Bradford Bulls when Nathan Graham, my namesake, dropped 3 bombs. Bobby Goulding up and unders. It was insane. Being in that crowd at the old Wembley, witnessing that. The following year, I represented St. Helens Schools in the curtain raiser before St. Helens played again in the Challenge Cup final. Me and my dad, I think the Wednesday night after that, we played Bradford again in the cup final, and me and my dad drove to Odsal away on a Wednesday night when no one was there. Saints put out basically a B team because I didn't know at the time, but they would have all been out on the piss celebrating. I watched St. Helens in a foggy Odsal with my old man on a Wednesday. They got pasted, but that is my team. I was there at the Wide to West try that all St. Helens fan would know about. If you don't know much about this, Google Wide to West St. Helens. I was in the crowd at that moment. I got to play for this team. It's where I made my first grade debut at Nosey Road. I made my Great Britain debut at Nosey Road. Look, I love the Bulldogs, but in terms of the level of support for St. Helens and what they're going through now with my mate Paul Wellens, who's coaching the team, and they're facing some difficult times. I'm hoping that they can turn it around for him. No question. You know what? I'll go as far to say I'm not much of a St. Helens fan. I would never have played for another Super League team, ever.
Yeah.
So when I was going back, it was just no question. There's only 2 teams I would have ever played for in England. St. Helens and Wakington Town. That is it. And I just, I've heard... we spoke to Beaver Menzies about, him not going to Parramatta. Jake, Tom, they won't play against Manly. I wouldn't play against St. Helens. I just could not play for another Super League team.
Speaking of Menzies, comes out Sunday. It's an Origin preview show, but it's also... we also just get some great stories from State of Origin from him. He's one of the true characters. Just on Super League, before we move on to Origin, Billy Boston.
Yes.
First ever knighthood for a rugby league player.
And about bloody time as well. We've seen a number of sports people be knighted. Rugby league's first ever one. Billy Boston, although he played for Wigan, an absolute beyond legend of the game. The term legend gets thrown around far too much. He epitomises greatness, despite it being for an opposing club. A club that, St. Helens and Wigan don't particularly like each other. It's tremendous recognition for the great man.
He's got a statue, I think, in Wales. He's got a statue at Wigan. just icon of the game. But let's talk Origin because, oh man, Aaron Woods, he has sparked the Origin rivalry like no one else has in a long, long time.
You've come out and you've axed your captain, Daly Evans. You've said it wasn't a scapegoat, mate. It's a scapegoat. Everywhere you look, you're not used to getting hammered in the media. I want to see the real Billy Slater come out, the Grub that we know of. Because this is a bloke that kicked John Scandaris in the head. They got 6 weeks suspension at Leichhardt Oval.
Go off, son. Go off,
Everyone wants to go, oh, he's such a nice bloke. Well, mate, you've lost last series. If you lose this second series, does that mean you're going to get sacked? Because Kevy Walters got sacked after 2 series losses.
Bang.
Woodsy stirring the pot. Look, Billy Slater is head coach of Queensland has got a tremendously difficult job to do. Part of that is managing the media. The most important thing for Billy Slater is focusing on his team. Look, I've looked at it and assessed it and gone, for me, a person in DCE's shoes and all the circumstances around this. Now, I know some people say, you don't understand Origin, but I can obviously grasp the concept of it, and I can understand what hatred means, and I can understand that you don't own that jersey. I can understand all these things. I have the human capability to grasp what it is, but a person in DCE's shoes and what everything that he's done, achieved so far, and his recent form, in my opinion, he's either there for the series or he's not. That's just my call. That's just what I feel. That's what I think. And maybe that is, quote unquote, Origin, that you don't just chop and change after one game, especially considering these circumstances. That's just my take. Obviously, with the build-up to the Origins, the media are doing their best. Like, people can say what they want about the journalists, the ex-players.
Well, game one was boring.
But who was trying to pump it up? The Queensland media with Spencer Leniu.
Yeah.
Like, the media would do, because they understand the value in engagement, in interest, in, I want to see what, I'm a casual sports fan, or I'm, we know some of the people who are going to be nailed on to watch Origin, whether or not it's built up or not.
Well, every single person listening to this show will be watching Origin.
Yeah, but you'd be naive to think that there aren't some blow-ins.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And the media are doing their best job. People like Aaron Wood saying things like that to go, I want to see what happens.
Yeah.
With Spencer Leniu, I want to see what happens.
Yeah.
If I'm a casual sports fan, the subplot and the sell and the hype and the reputation, that's what you tune in for.
It needs things like this. And
Yeah,
he said it on obviously his Triple M breakfast show, which is just dominating. Him and Bo Ryan and Kat killing it. But Origin needs this, Jimmy.
Does.
It needs this, but Queensland would be loving it.
Well, yeah, because people will engage with it. And I'd love to know, does Woodsy actually mean that? Like, does he genuinely mean what he says? Or is he actually just doing it to stoke a fire and get people engaged? And that one of my most common phrases is the power of hatred. And especially in things like Origin, people need to be the hero, the villain. I'm sure I'm sure that there is a lot of New South Wales supporters that are going, yeah, that's it, Woodsy, you give it to him, mate. We're with you, I believe. Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of Queensland, listeners, fans of the show that are going, he can get stuffed. What's he like?
It's sparking hate either way.
Yeah.
Because Billy Slater's rap sheet isn't amazing when it comes to judiciary and being involved in moments. So what Woodsy's saying is factually correct that he had a lot of incidents where he got suspended and that sort of stuff.
But dropping DCE's got nothing to do with that.
No, but
it's got nothing to do with it. Like,
No.
that's it. You're the head coach. Like,
Yeah.
what he did as a player, like his achievements, far outweigh anything that Woodsy or I have ever done. But it's and what with the rap sheet, it's all irrelevant. It's about he was given the reins of this Queensland team to make some tough calls. He's made them. It's something I don't personally agree with. But all that stuff about what he did, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he's a grub or not.
One call he's made is put Ezra Mam at 18th man, and I find it very strange that they've gone with Ezra Mam at 18th man. I think Queensland's never activated their 18th man. I think the only time an 18th man Origin's been activated was when Nicho Hines ended up coming onto the field and going to centre, but Matt Burton could have been activated and was activated, but he was on the bench and didn't actually get onto the game. That was when New South Wales sort of mixed up their interchanges. I'm
sure in game 2 at Lang Park one year,
where there was concussions galore. I
galore.
don't know if the 18th man got activated. I'll have to double check that. But it's not. What the whole point of it is, it's not really a thing that gets activated very often. So it's unlikely to be used.
Highly unlikely to be activated yet.
So why would you bring in a player who is literally 2-3 games back from a long suspension for something that is quite a dramatic thing to be suspended for compared to what's happened off the field in recent memory? It's kind of one of the worst things a player's done in recent memory, and he's thrust back into Origin.
Look, Cheese and I spoke about this, and look, about the severity of the punishment. I know some people don't like this point of view, but for me, I think you do have to move on. You save your time, whether people agree with it or not. And then I've not agreed with some non-selection of players in the past for previous industry. Matt Lodge is a perfect example, right? That what happened. He earned his position back in the game, which is again very different to Ezra Mam. He didn't have to go through 1 year in New South Wales Cup. We've seen Russell Packer had to earn his spot back in the game. And those are two people that come to mind. Russell Packer, from memory, he did go back on to play for the New Zealand Kiwis. Matt Lodge wasn't afforded that luxury of being welcomed back into the representative arena.
But at one point he was playing well enough where he would have been picked. Well, so New South Wales chose not to pick him because of there's more to Origin than just being the best player in New South Wales' eyes. But in Queensland's eyes, they've gone with Ezra Mam so soon after coming back from suspension.
Yeah, they're obviously time sensitive as well. Probably the more I think about this, the more I've considered it, the more you and I just had a chat about it. And 18th man, they get full freight.
Yep.
They get full freight, which will irk the general public even more for to be there in a position where he's not likely to be activated and then get that financial compensation. It's going to rub people up the wrong way. It's going to turn those people who are already off the situation and the individual even more against them. And I think maybe with the benefit of hindsight, they pick a Reece Walsh in that 18th man. The reason they've gone with a half in 18th man is because they've got 4 forwards on the bench. Kurt Mann's going to play that utility style role, but he is more of a forward than anything else. So if the worst happens, then next backup would be an outside back.
And they've got Capewell who can go into the centres, and then you can shuffle things around. But it doesn't matter whether it's that they need a half. There's other halves that they could have picked. They could have thrown Jamal Fogarty as 18th man. Raiders had the bye, wouldn't have impacted the Raiders at all. Like there's other things they could have done. It just seems insane that they've gone and picked Ezra Man.
I guess,
Jimmy, what you just said about Origin before was you summed it up perfectly. It's about attracting mainstream attention across Australia. You get something like 4 million people watch. Having someone who's been through what they've been through recently and then put them in Origin where every eyeball's on it. I mean, part of me thinks Billy Slater's done it on purpose to take attention away from Daly Cherry Evans not being picked. And it's just like that's a bit more of a conspiracy theory, but say, hey, there's a throw this in the mix.
Yeah.
Let people going to talk less about Daly and focus on Ezra.
Yeah, I was just thinking then maybe it's let's give Ezra plenty of love so that he feels connected to us in the future, because maybe there's a spot there, but in all likelihood you've got Dearden, Munster, who's now been made captain. You've got Sammy Walker. You've got Ponga, who could play in the halves this World Cup. He's he's probably down that natural pecking order of halves in Queensland. Like, but we know what he's capable of achieving. His best years are ahead of him. Maybe there's an angle there of let's give him the love now.
But he's already been in that Origin squad, Jimmy.
Yeah, I know he has, but considering what happened, and look, I'm not saying this is why, but I'm looking at it from a Queensland purely point of view of we may need to rely on Ezra in the future. So let's get him like he feels loved and he owes us, because that's what sport's all about.
But
that he feels that like they looked after me. They stood up for me when no one else would.
I don't think they are looking after him by doing this, though. It just brings his name back into the headlines. Looking after him would be, hey, mate, give him a call and say, we were going to pick you as 18th man. Given the year you've had, we thought it would create too much attention. But just know, Ezra, we actually wanted you in this squad, but we're doing you a favour here by not picking you. And in 12 months' time, we'll revisit it. You would have been our 18th man, but we've gone in a different direction. That simple phone call makes Ezra feel loved and takes all the media attention away from him. It's just like... It's naive from Queensland to pick him and not think there would be backlash.
Yeah, it's a bit of... look, the more I think about it, the more I digest it, the more I am understanding of that point of view, and I'm probably feeling it was unnecessary. It's an unnecessary attention, unnecessary... Like, it was just... not reading the room.
Yeah. Do you think Ezra likes having his name back in the headlines and all the stuff? Like, he would much rather keep his head down. Since these last couple of weeks coming back, he's already been in the headlines once for saying he thought they were booing him about Spencer Leniu, which was a stupid thing to say. And now he's back in the headlines again. Like, if you're him, you just want to have a lower profile and try and sort of ease your way back into footy.
Yeah. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I think it was probably a poor judgment decision.
On 18th man.
And like I say, an unnecessary one.
Yeah. On the 18th man, Matt Burns, the 18th man for New South Wales, got to feel for the Dogs. They get dudded a bit when it comes to this, but they've really got to consider changing the rule.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. He plays Sunday. If he played Sunday at 80 minutes, he probably couldn't back up and play Wednesday. Like, why would you want him as 18th man? But it does seem unfair that a club misses out on their player.
Well, clubs pay the price for having state of origin players anyway. So I think you should want to minimise that risk. And like we say, because of the high unlikeliness of a player being activated and playing a significant role, I think they should be allowed to play for their club sides. Or maybe it's restricted. You can only pick an 18th man for one of the teams that don't play, that have the bye.
Yeah.
And then that's your limitations on it, because it is so infrequent. And look, if New South Wales win, we've got a dead rubber on our hands. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Two 18th men that won't be able to play for their clubs.
Yeah.
Because they're being the backup on a dead rubber game.
Yeah.
I don't know what if, but that situation will happen at some point in the future. Whether it happens this year, like it's looking that way. If you feel the game's going to go that way, looking like we'll have that situation crop up.
Yeah.
So look, it is. There's a few. Obviously, look, the game itself as a whole, the NRL, is overachieving. But we'll never be at utopia. We'll never be everyone's happy. We won't be able to please everybody. But there are a few nuanced changes that I think could please more of the stakeholders than it currently is.
It would be interesting to see the players' perspective who do get picked. Like, I'd love to know if Matt Burton is like pumped to be 18th man, because on one hand, you get 30 grand, plus you get to be a part of an Origin series, plus he could be there with New South Wales with them lifting the shield. Like, that's a really cool experience.
It's a cool experience, Charlie, but you're like the sub goalie, aren't you?
Yeah.
Like, you're the sub goalie.
Yeah.
You're basically 18th man. You are the sub goalie. You're coming on once in a blue moon, and Well, actually, no, you're not, because you're sub goalie. You're going to be put to work.
You're playing Capital One Cup or whatever it is, the Carlton Cup, whatever it's called these days.
You might get if you're sub goalie, at least you come on and you're going to be in the action.
I reckon that's the best job in world sport, though, the sub goalie. There's this goalkeeper at Manchester City. I think he's their third string keeper. He has not played in years and years and years, but he gets paid like £30,000 a week.
Yeah, he still plays reserves.
Yeah, but he's not getting picked. He's not getting picked in the Premier League. It'd be one of the best gigs ever. One of the best gigs ever. Would he be playing reserves? Wouldn't their second string keeper be playing reserves?
He'd be that.
But he's their third backup. So he'd be on the bench for reserves.
Yeah.
He doesn't play at all, yeah. Tony's just telling us he got released, his contract's done. Scott Carson, a legend of the game. I dream of being someone like Scott Carson, being in a job like that, getting paid lots to do nothing at all. That'd be the dream.
And here at the buy round, you get paid nothing to do lots. So it's just that extreme, isn't it?
Exactly.
That you dream of.
Yeah, can't find the middle ground.
But yeah, the 18th man is something I think we need to look at. And yeah, like I say, the Ezra Mam situation is probably not reading the room enough. And Matt Burton, the Dogs paid the price, but for them this time around, it's not as with Lockie Galvin in the mix. It's not as disruptive.
Just on Queensland, when you and Cheese spoke on Monday and it came out Tuesday, the teams weren't in yet in terms of 1 to 17 for Queensland. But what's happened is Liero's obviously starting at lock now. Carrigan's been moved to the bench. Nanai, which I found really interesting. He was, I thought, Queensland's best player in game one. He's been moved to the bench for Kurt Capewell, who starts.
Well, Nanai was their best player.
Yeah. I thought that was their only threat they had in attack was the kick up to Nanai, hoping to put,
Yeah, it seems strange. Some of the changes that Slater has made, and none of them really forced upon by injury. Still finding it difficult to understand how Corey Horsburgh doesn't make that 17.
Crazy.
Especially when you're looking at this Origin 2 compared to Origin 1, what do Queensland need to fix up? They need to win the collision. They need to be more physical. On a personal note, I think I've said this, I would have gone with the starting middle three as Collins, Tino, Carrigan. Set that tone early.
Who would you drop then if you're going to bring Horsburgh? Would it be Mo Fodawaker?
Or Liera.
Or Trent Liera, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Lindsay Collins hasn't been in the best form this year.
No, he hasn't, but he's had a lot of injuries, a lot to deal with. He's not played a lot of football, but for me, I think Lindsay Collins is a person you would like. He's that Nate Miles style of player that Origin brings out the best in him. And for some of the things Lindsay Collins brings to the game, he's physical, he's a strong carrier, he's an excellent defender, and as a play 5 defensive front rower, I don't think there's any better.
Just quickly, Cam Munster captain.
Yes, this has to be a big move from Slater to bring out even more in Cameron Munster. I think for me it was noticeable they didn't name the captain on Monday when the team was released. Obviously no DCE. And I think that was for Slater to have that one-on-one conversation with Munster and see if he was up for it. I think he would have been the first person he would have gone to. I don't think this is a backup. I think he would have ideally looked at it and gone, I'm gonna check out with Cam, see if he's up to the task, and then if not, I'll go to Grant or I'll go to Tino or I'll go to Patrick Carrigan. He needed to look Cam Munster in the eye and say, mate, do you actually want this? Because it comes with extra responsibility. It comes with extra pressure. It comes with more distraction, more different areas of focus. And Cam's obviously I'm going, mate, this is me. Huge honour. Huge honour for Cam Munster.
He was so fired up all game. He was really trying so hard in game one, like trying so hard. But I'll tell you something that's really impressed me about Cameron Munster over the last couple of years. He started doing a lot more media, and he speaks so well. He articulates himself so much better from where he was at the start of his career to now.
Yeah, well, I think that's only natural with more experience.
Yeah.
Especially in roles in the media. And obviously his manager would be pretty influential in that, like with Brave. So I've got a manager, someone that looks after me, but I'm not going to go to him for advice on how to speak in the media. Where, you know, with Cam and Braith and that relationship that they're establishing, you can see why he is becoming a bit more polished, but he's still got that raw honesty as well.
Yeah, he's got a bit of edge as well. It's great.
Yeah.
We'll go to Clubland then, because a bit of news coming out of the Tigers, Jimmy. And I mean, the Tigers, they can't stay out of the headlines, but it's basically the thoughts are now that there might be a bit of disagreement between Shane Richardson and Benji Marshall over which hooker they sign. Two options, Appy Coruscant and Talon De Silva. The understanding is that if Talon De Silva gets signed, Appy will leave. And if Appy signs, Talon De Silva will leave. Both of these guys are available to negotiate with other clubs from November 1. Shane Richardson wants Talon De Silva and Benji Marshall wants Appy Coruscant.
Well, that's complex decision-making. That's salary cap management. That's roster management. That's the issue of having 2 9s. That's the issue of having the real established player that's won competitions versus the young up-and-comer. And it's a difficult predicament. And I think, looking at it from a Tigers point of view, you expect differences in opinion. You expect that. So in that retention and recruitment committee, Benji has got to... They've both got different angles in how they approach this and what they... and why and how they think the decision should go that particular way. So Benji's thinking short term. He's not looking at too big a picture. And the future fruit that Talon De Silva may or may not blossom with. He knows what he gets from Appy. Incredibly experienced, good combination, good camaraderie with Jerome Luai, with Bula. They know exactly what they get there. So he's thinking about that. With Appy as well, doesn't need to really develop him. He's not really a drain on resources. You sort of get on with it. Where if Talon De Silva, he's shown promise, but he's yet to completely prove that he can dominate games, he can affect games, he can put this plan into place. He's obviously come through the system, so Richo will be looking at it as a point of view of we need local players we can't afford to lose anymore. Look, we know the history. We have lost Galvin. Let's make Talon the man. But there's going to be a difference of opinion. It's actually healthy. People go, oh, they're arguing over it, but it's no, it's actually good because they both care about the club in different ways.
Interesting.
Benji wants quick now. Shane probably a bit more of a longer term. We're going to see the best of this decision, and I guess who wins, whose voice, whose opinion carries more weight. That's the interesting thing. Is it Benji, the head coach, or Shane Richardson, the CEO?
Well, that probably comes down to how much they believe in Benji Marshall as a coach as well. Because they're sitting low on the ladder, the Tigers. Their roster's good enough to make the top 8, I think. Based on the way you look at the players, I think it's a good enough roster to make the top 8, especially this year when there's a lot of mediocre teams from about 5th down to 15th.
Yeah,
there's not much of a gap between them. This is a year where they could easily make the top 8, and they're not. They're struggling. Their run home's tough. So if they might look at what's happening there, or Shane Richardson might look at what's happening and go, Benji, I'm going to make this call because you might not be here in a couple of years.
Well, also as well, you've got to look at it from a problem-solving perspective and a roster shape management perspective. If you get Talon De Silva, if you go with him, you can almost set and forget, and the problems are, or the issue would be further down the track, keeping Talon. Just that is off focus. But then if you go with Appy, he's 33 or 34 this year.
Turns 33 in November.
33 in November. So, all those issues that come with signing older players, and when they make that call to retire, you've obviously got to go and replace them that year on. I imagine if you get Appy, it's a 1 or 2 year deal. So you're always thinking, it's always short-term thinking. So that's another thing or another aspect that you need to consider is we've got talent for maybe the next 10 years, hopefully, where Appy is a year-by-year proposition, really, at that age bracket. And despite how he's playing, it for me, it's something you view, it's a year-on-year proposition.
And all the talk is that Talon is going to be like one of the stars of the game as far as hooker go in the next 10 years.
And that's the talk, but it's not.
He's young. He's like 19, 20 years old. He's shown great signs of potential.
Yeah.
The interesting one for Talon is they could play this wrong as well. They could put their eggs in the Talon basket, and then Talon De Silva could turn around and go, actually, I don't want to go there. His best mate is Lockie Galvin, and you don't think he's maybe talking to Lockie and be like, what's it like at the Dogs? What's it like in a different system? How does it differ to the Tigers? And Lockie could be saying, hey, it's a complete different ballgame, so much more professional. Systems are so much better. The level of detail around coaching is so much better. It's like a massive, massive improvement. And then Talon might say, hey, I probably will leave then.
Yeah, well, and that's another genuine possibility. If you're the Tigers, you probably don't want to announce it to the world which way you're going to go. You probably want to get a feel. I imagine, and Appy's obviously come out and said he's interested in going to Perth. He would go there. That's a realistic possibility.
Mal said he's interested in him as well.
Yeah, of course you're going to be interested. Yeah, they need to get some players in ASAP. So, and Appy fits that bill. He's off contract, but same with Talon as well. Maybe they'd look at him. But I reckon the Tigers probably need to be having some subtle conversations with Talon De Silva around and his management about what's going to make him stay. One of those conditions maybe that Appy needs to go.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. They have now signed Taylor May as well, because the thing about the Tigers, they had 3 spots in their top 30. So they've got one of them covered now, so they've still got 2 more spots to fill.
For this year?
Yeah.
Before June 30th?
Yeah. So I don't know if they've got any other moves up their sleeve.
Well, they're going to have to, because you have to fill.
Yeah, or they might promote people.
Promote from, you can promote from there. Yeah.
But Taylor May, did you speak about that with Cheese already on Monday? I think you did, didn't you?
Yeah. I think it's a good calculated risk, the fact that they're just bringing him on very small wage for, I believe, just the rest of the year, and actually see this change in action, see how he fits into the group.
Just before we preview the round, we do have a pot for game 2.
Yes, we do.
So you've done 2 pots so far, one in Magic Round, which was an outstanding success, and then the game 1 for Origin was a success as well.
Not as good as success,
but a success, 50% profit. We'll take that. We'll take that. We can turn $25 into $35. It was fantastic. So jump on the Ladbrokes app. Jump into the community, jump into the bar and pot, because we're going again for game 2.
Yes, we are. And that will close about half an hour before kickoff.
Yeah, so you got to get in before then, because then Jimmy needs about half an hour to place all his bets, because the man with technology, he's slow. No, I know what I'm doing. But you take you're slow. You're slow with technology.
All right. Just, if you are interested, get on that Ladbrokes app. It's a really fun way to watch State of Origin. I get so stressed. I was watching the 25s come in and thinking, oh, geez. But I've delivered 2 from 2.
Yeah, because we got to win straight away. It was like the first bet got up in the first 10 minutes.
First or last try scorer, Zach Lomax.
Zach Lomax, tick, bang.
That covered us.
That covered we were there. And then we got the Liam Martin most tackles as well later on. Just well done, Jimmy.
Thank you, man.
You're a great tipster. Speaking of which, let's tip the round. Round preview, Sharks, Dragons. Are the Sharks now, do they now have a 0% chance of winning the premiership, Jimmy?
No, they don't. And I say this because they are like a lot of teams. At their best, they can beat anyone. But it's producing their best on a consistent basis. The Sharks, if they could play Melbourne every week, they'd be amazing to watch. But they don't. They seem to have that lack of focus. And I guess what you're waiting for from the Sharks is, well, in September when it matters, can you put those performances in? They managed to get their first playoff win in a long time last year, but I reckon for the Sharks, it could be where the past few years they finished top 4. Now they're going to be looking like they're not going to make that top 4, and they'll be looking at some of the recent results and going, what have we done here? We have blown this opportunity. Like, absolutely blown it. Not to be in how did they lose that game against the Roosters that had 4 or 5 players missing for State of Origin?
Yeah.
That's an attitude thing. with the attitude they played against the Storm versus the attitude they played against the Roosters, it wasn't the same team. And then the Warriors, a game that, again, another opportunity. The game against the Roosters, it was the opportunity to stay in the top four or mount a case for being in the top four. But then they go to the Warriors, a team that are in there. Oh, let's get us 2 points closer, and they blew it. They got pumped.
The reality is the Warriors are just a much better team, I think, than the Sharks. Much better
Not
team.
on paper. The thing is,
I think they are now
on
paper.
Nah.
Yeah, no, I think they are, mate, on paper now. You'd take, obviously I know their halves aren't, great names, but like Luke Metcalf is killing it.
Yeah,
He's a better player than Nico
yeah.
Hines. Luke Metcalf.
But Hines
And
is better.
Shans is better than Will Kennedy. Shans and Klukstad. Then their forward pack is they lost Mitch Barnett, but then they got like guys like Val Munga jumps in. He kills it. I know he was already playing, but he kills it. Jackson Ford does a great job.
Yeah.
I love Halasima on the edge as well.
Mate, he's a gun. Yeah. Look, just on the Sharks Dragons, it's a big derby. The Dragons probably really struggling at the moment as well. Difficult to see how they can progress at the moment. I think they need to recruit and develop. I don't think this squad is quite there yet. I think they arguably their strongest asset is their coach.
Yeah.
In Flanagan, he's getting the best out of this situation, but they struggle for creativity at times.
Yeah, their halves
and points.
Yeah, the halves is the biggest issue. And at the start of the season, I think it was Michael Chammer said that the worst halves in the whole comp. And then after a game, Dragons won. Kyle Flanagan came out and said, "Are we the worst halves now?" Well, based on recent results and yes, you guys are the worst halves in combination.
I don't like those accusations. Look, it's harsh. And obviously, Lockie Elias there.
Well, mate, what's worse than King Tongia and Kyle Flanagan?
Yeah, it's just not something I want to. Well, yeah, what's the point?
Yeah.
And obviously, that's something that can motivate in the short term, but I think the Dragons will struggle.
So you got the Sharks winning that one comfortably. Friday night, then the Titans against the Seagulls. Geez, the Seagulls desperate for a win. It'll be interesting to see how DCE goes. Coming back, didn't get picked if this has a bit of a statement game from him. Yeah,
well, if you look at the Manly lineup, it's the week or 4 or 5 days before Origin, and in the team is Turbo, DCE, and Jakey Dvojevic. What a bizarre set of circumstances.
And Hamali Olakawatu as well, who might have been a chance of getting picked.
Yeah. Manly on paper, most definitely. A lot of eyes will be looking at DCE and how he responds. Him against Foran, always an interesting battle.
Do you know what? We said at the start of the year we wouldn't get... This is the only time they play each other this year. So this is probably the last time you're going to see Foran against DCE.
Yeah, it is, yeah. We don't know if either or both will go again, but it's...
The mail is that Foran is considering retiring.
Yeah, but these two players go against each other. I remember you mentioning this, Charlie. They will get to battle against one another. Manly, again, not too dissimilar to the Sharks, at their absolute best, can mix it with the best. But just a week-by-week basis, they don't. They have this inability to continue to perform at the highest level. They don't seem motivated. That loss against the Knights was just... we called that game for Triple M. I genuinely couldn't believe what I was watching. Our team was just so in control and then just faded. This is a real danger game for Manly. Des up against his old team as well.
Yeah.
That always invokes a lot of emotion. There's a big emotional strain happening there at the Titans. They obviously lose Mo Fodawaker, lose Tino. They've got Verrills on the extended. So if they can get that spine together, a Verrills, Campbell, Foran and Brimson, maybe, just maybe can spark something, but they are light on in the middle. And when Manly focus and they play through the middle and they don't start to shift too early, they look good. But it's a huge danger game. I am going to pick Manly to get the win, though. They should be embarrassed after that loss against the Knights.
It does scream of one of those games where the Titans win it without they're no chance. No Tino, no Mo Footaway, they're no chance. Fafita's still out, no chance. And then they come out there and win it. I would love to fly up to the Gold Coast just at the off chance that Manly put the cleaners through the Titans and ask Des really stupid questions in the press conference and just get him. I reckon he was one question away from just exploding. If it was just a stupid enough question as well.
Yeah, he was not happy, to say the least. It actually, Des in the press conference, it reminded me of how he was sometimes with the players. I actually messaged him after it and said, Des, look, I hope you can turn this around, mate. I'm feeling for you at the moment.
Did he get back to you?
Yeah, he did, yeah. He just said thank you.
Yeah. Because the tough thing for Des is this could be his last coaching opportunity in the NRL as well. Yeah,
potentially. And he obviously knows of all the media that, all the reports that were leaked about the contract situation, the clause situation. He's fighting for his coaching future. And I think we saw that game where they went to Newcastle and they did the opposite, spanked in the first half and then came out and found they got the try just on half time and then they turned it around. That was an emotional victory, but that only lasts so long that people can go, we've got to put this performance in for our coach and show the owners that he's our man, but it's finite.
Yeah. So you got the Manly Seagulls winning a close one, I think you said?
Oh, I don't know. I think there'll be points, but Manly will win. I just don't know how.
Yeah. Saturday, 5:30 then, Knights, Roosters. Mate, as bad as the Knights are going, have a look at the ladder. They win this game. They go to 6 wins, 8 losses. They go against the Roosters, who are a semi-feel-good story of the year. Semi-feel-good.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of young players that brought through. They'll actually beat them. They'll have a better record than them. If they win, they'll go to 6 wins, 8 losses. The Roosters will go to 5 wins, 8 losses.
That's bizarre. When you told me that before, it doesn't make sense.
No.
When we've watched the two teams play, by far and away, the Roosters have looked so much better than what the Knights have.
Yeah.
Huge inclusion, Sammy Walker coming back. Obviously, we've got those 5 players missing with Origin. I guess with the Knights, maybe we're too harsh on them in terms of we're really critical of their attack, but they're like the 3rd best defensive team in the competition.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy how good they've been on that side of the game, which doesn't gather enough appreciation from the public, both the fans and the media. But I know it will be pleasing for Coach O'Brien. Interesting, Jackson Hastings back into the fold as well.
Very interesting.
So a lot of eyes on how his performance is as not just a player but as the teammate.
Yeah. I hope he has a really good game. I really do hope he has a good game.
Well, that will put the cat amongst the pigeons, won't it? If he plays well, and then it's, do we go with Ponga,
Sharp
Hastings. And Hastings?
Yeah.
Be interesting.
Yeah.
But I spoke about emotional responses from the Titans. How emotional can the Roosters get? Because it was an emotional victory when they beat the Sharks. They played into that. Obviously, a lot of young players that will feel like hang off Robinson's every single word. The Knights have got to anticipate that, but I think the Roosters, inspired by Sammy Walker, get the win.
Also, speaking of Roosters, shout out to a Roosters fan I met at the gym the other day called Baden. Good man. He had a Roosters tattoo on his thigh as well, and he showed it to me. It was I get the feeling Roosters fans are a bit sort of 50-50 on getting DCE when you speak to them.
Well, and so they should be, Charlie. So they should be. I think most people in the NRL sphere would go, why would you sign him now for the figures that are being touted and for 2 years?
$1 million a year for 2 years.
I don't know if you needed to give him 2 years. No. I don't know if you need to give him $1 million.
There is some mail now as well that behind the scenes at the Roosters, they're also a little bit unsure about Daly Cherry-Evans, and potentially some of the assistant coaches speaking to Trent Robinson and questioning the decision and trying to maybe push for them to get out of this.
Well, it's a very real possibility, unless the contract hasn't been lodged with the NRL, or we would know about it.
Yeah.
There's a very distinct possibility that the Roosters may have to go back on their word and their handshake, which has been allegedly reported.
Done deal, yeah. The Sandon Smith's at 14 as well, so Savala's in the halves with Sam Walker, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That no Sandon Smith, but they're gone,
I think the Knights win.
No, I'm going to stick with Roosters. Tedesco playing too well.
Yeah.
I think those young players are still at a stage where they're looking to Robbo, to Teddy, and being like, wow.
Saturday night, Cowboys Dolphins. Got a feel for the Cowboys now. They've lost Gilbert, Daniel Saifidi for the season. Sorry, the Dolphins. They've lost Saifidi, Gilbert for the season, and now they've lost Max Plath.
Yeah, looking like a genuine top 8 team in recent weeks.
Yeah.
Their level of performance has been through the roof. And you just wonder how would they have fared this year with those three. I don't envisage them giving up. That's not Wolfie. That's not their team. That's not Herbie Farnworth.
And they've got a lot of depth across the board as well.
Yeah, they do.
They've still got Tom Flegler out. Forget about that as well.
Yeah.
Think about all these gun forwards they've got out.
Probably most importantly, they've got Cartoa. He is making everybody look good around him. He is an unbelievable player to watch. His level at this age is phenomenal. Like, it is a joy to watch. He is so good.
He loves Christian Wolf as well. So there was some rumours early in the year that he might went out of the Dolphins. He's not going anywhere. He loves it there.
Well, speaking of, you spoke at DCE, and one of the clubs that were reportedly interested were the Dolphins. If you're the Dolphins now, you don't want him like even tempting to upset the apple cart.
Yeah,
you look for maybe a good 5'8" that can complement him with, Nicarima done a good job, but that's where you go. Don't need a 7.
No. Murray Taulagi returns for the Cowboys as well on the wing. He's been out with injury. Who have you got in this one? The Dolphins are actually big favourites on Ladbrokes.
I'm going to go Dolphins.
Dolphins, cool.
Yep.
Then Sunday, last game of the round, the Rabbitohs against the Doggies at a core stadium. Seems odd that this game is being played during Origin, Jimmy.
It does seem very odd, Charlie. It does. Because Sunday afternoon, it should attract a massive crowd, but probably it won't. I know South fans are looking to get out of that stadium. Go on, what were you going to say?
I was going to say it might attract a crowd given you're going to get 80 minutes from Lockie Galvin. He's wearing the 5'8" jersey.
Yeah, well, it's South's home game. I know they've got the reciprocal ground share scenario where members get.
Oh, mate, there's going to be plenty of seats if you want them.
Oh no, there'll be plenty.
I mean, enough Dogs fans will probably. It will feel like a Dogs home game.
Yeah,
I reckon.
it will. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So they've done the thing where for the Good Friday game, the two teams have entered an agreement where membership is reciprocal. So so if you're a Dogs member, you get membership.
Oh, beautiful! I didn't know. Yeah, right.
If that's what I was trying to say.
Sorry, yeah.
So I got an email because I'm a Dogs member as well. So it was about
paid member.
Absolutely, Charlie.
You're not a paid member.
Let me see.
But it's interesting what they've done with this side as well. So obviously you got Lockie Galvin's at 5'8", Toby Sexton's at halfback, Reed Marnie's at hooker, Bailey Hayward starting lock as well, and then you got Jake Turpin on the bench there. But I mean, I wonder if we're going to see. Do you know what could be really interesting, Jimmy? If this spine kills it, and then Matt Burton comes and says, "You know what? Do we put him in the centres? And do we put Carraz on one wing, Marcelo Montoya on the other, and have Bronson Cherry and Matt Burton in the centres?"
Sorry, Charlie, I wasn't really paying attention to you there.
Oh, that's called padding. That's called It's called padding because I could see technology as always. Jimmy took 15 minutes to find an email, so I was just trying to pad for you.
Just Ticketed members will gain reciprocal access to this match. Members with Ultimate, Platinum Plus, Platinum, Gold, Kennel, Blue Zone or Flexi 4 packages will not need to purchase a ticket for this match and can scan their membership card to enter. For more information will be available in the coming days. So that is the Dogs.
So Jimmy's got a couple spare tickets to the Dogs, obviously, for anyone that needs them. Just message Jimmy if you need a couple tickets to the Dogs with your membership you got there.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, hit him up.
Yeah.
He loves messages like that as well. He loves it when people ask for tickets for...
Love it. Bloody love it.
Also, State of Origin, if it's not decided, there'll be heaps of spare seats. I'm sure Jimmy will be able to hook some of you guys up with some tickets.
Yeah, look, there should be a decent crowd there, but not as much if this game was being played by all the stars there. But like you say, Galvin in the 6 jersey, a lot of eyes will be on him. South Sydney, Kaloma Tangi, Jai Arrow in the mixer in the middle. They were really good against the Raiders. They just fell out of... They just ran out of petrol towards the back end of that game, I feel. Raiders stayed at the middle and the Rabbitohs just... Yeah, they just got submitted. They played really well. And Wayne Bennett teams play that way. There'll be high completions. They'll play, obviously, no Cody Walker. They're going to no Latrell Mitchell with none of that real polish, what he brings to the back end of those sweep plays. Jack White will need a big game, but the way South's approach this is through the middle. No Max King. So no Kate Mann. This is a big one for the Dogs middle. I think they're going to get plenty of traffic come their way. Plenty.
Big opportunity for the Bunnies to get a win in that top 8 race as well. Crucial win.
They would be looking at this and going, we can get the Dogs. Look, the Dogs were... They were poor against, in elements of their game. They gone the Raiders, the Roosters, the Dolphins, and then Para. They're really good, but Para beat themselves, especially in that second half. Look, credit to the Dogs and what they did, but Para were far too mistake happy. Wayne Bennett South aren't going to do that. It's a big game. It's actually a genuine, exciting game.
Yeah.
Despite the Stars being away, it's going to be a great game of football.
And it's a good opportunity for Bunnies fans to show up as well, because they could easily get outnumbered by Dogs fans, and it's a chance for them to come out and sort of, because Bunnies used to get, and I think obviously being at a cause kind of ruined that for them. These huge crowds, they were considered like the number one fan base in the game. Dogs have lapped them by a mile by now. So it's a chance for Bunnies fans to go, nah, we're still here. Come and support your club.
Mate, 100%.
Could have a huge crowd.
Mate, when I was playing, I thought the Dogs were the biggest fan base, and I had no idea what was going on at Redfern. Turn up to ANZ Stadium Australia, recall whatever it is, on grand final in 14, and we were outnumbered. And I was like, shit, what's going on here? Now, Dogs are number one.
Dogs will probably be having 3-1. That's why Bunnies fans should try and, this is an opportunity. Get there. Get a big crowd. We'll be there. Bring some atmosphere.
Just give me some abuse. I'll even take some abuse from Bunnies fans. To be fair, you know what? Bunnies fans, they're always pretty good to me.
They're great.
Despite our rivalry, the Bunnies fans, I've got to give them credit.
I think they should be allowed to go back to Allianz as well. The Bunnies.
To be honest, I don't know. It doesn't really interest me where they play.
Okay. Well, that's all from us, Jimmy.
All right. Take it easy. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll catch you next week.